to a new video here on my channel. Today I'm going to be bringing to you my college experience video. If you can't tell by my surroundings and my blouse, my t-shirt that I have on today, I graduated from Syracuse University back in 2013. So this video is long overdue. So 3 years ago, in May of 2013, I graduated from Syracuse University with my bachelor's degree in fine art photography with a minor in education studies. I went to SU for 4 years and they were the best 4 years of my life, or 4 of the best years of my life. I guess I'm going to start off my college experience story by prefacing who I was in high school. I'll paint you a lovely picture of the child that I was. Growing up in Camillus, which is on the outskirts of Syracuse, it's like a suburb about 15 minutes away from the city of Syracuse where the university exists. I grew up on Syracuse everything. I've been the biggest Syracuse basketball fan my whole entire life. I've always loved the university itself all throughout school. Growing up, we used to go on field trips up there, and it was like, I felt like I was like so excited to be there. I loved it. I always just like was in love with the university. There was no way I was going to any other school. I had my heart and soul set on Syracuse from the time I was a very small child. Going back even further than that, I was born in the city of Syracuse because that's where all the hospitals are located. My dad got me this Let's Go Orange banner the day I was born. So it's literally been my destiny to go to Syracuse University. In high school, I had a humongous interest in photography. We had a photography class we could take our sophomore year and on, and as soon as I was a sophomore in high school, I wanted to take it. My teacher was amazing. My photography teacher, Mrs. Cross, was my biggest inspiration in the whole wide world. She and I just clicked. She was one of those teachers though that everybody loved, but her and I had a very special bond. She was very encouraging. She gave me all of she put her whole faith in me to do as good as I want. She believed in my photography and always praised me for it. Made me feel really good about it. And not that I didn't feel good about all my other classes, but I had always been into art and creating things and writing, just any form of art. I have always thrived in my art classes, so this is a long preface to the story. My photography classes, I took them my sophomore, junior, and then my senior year I took advanced placement photography. I got a 5 out of 5 on my portfolio. But so my senior year, going into my senior year, I was taking the AP photography class. I knew going into my senior year in high school that I wanted to apply to Syracuse, early decision. So I got everything ready that I possibly could, and I was a really hardworking student. I used to take as many advanced classes as I could, and I took as many classes as I could. I had a loaded schedule going into my senior year. I knew that if I had a loaded schedule, all the schools that I wanted to apply to, which really was just Syracuse, would accept me. I go into my senior year with a very full class schedule. I was taking 2 AP classes. I was taking AP Photo, AP Statistics. I continued taking science. I was taking physics, which you don't have to take physics in my high school. You can stop after chemistry. At least that's how it was back in the day. In New York State, you take these big Regents exams, and the more Regents you take, the better it looks on your college resume. So I was taking as many classes as I could. I actually ended up taking a Syracuse University Project Advance is what it was called, SUPA, and I took it in English. They had a bunch of Syracuse University programs and credits that you could get at my high school. So I took that, and my junior year I took another college photography class. It was within my photography department with Mrs. Cross, and I got college credit for photography specifically. And I got pretty good grades in high school. I really tried really hard. I did as many extracurriculars as I could. I played sports. I liked to volunteer. I was involved with my church a little bit. I just tried to make myself very well-rounded so Syracuse would notice me, because it's a very competitive school. It's very hard to get into. It's very expensive. Back in high school, I knew all of this, but I didn't realize that down the road the expense of college would catch up to me. Such a rambler. Where even is this story going? Applying to Syracuse, early decision. I applied to the Newhouse School of Communications at Syracuse University, which is the hardest program to get into. That's what I applied to, early decision. I didn't really go for any interviews or anything. I didn't know. I didn't really know what I was doing, I guess, when I applied to early decision. I ended up not getting in early decision at Syracuse. It broke my heart. I remember how awful I felt, but I was not going to give up on it no matter what. So I ended up applying to 7 other schools, one of the community colleges here, and I applied to Syracuse again, but this time in the art program, which is probably where I should have started off anyways, going in early decision. I ended up hearing back from several schools other than Syracuse, and I got accepted to a few of them, most of them, and I think I applied to NYU. I didn't get into NYU, and another school around here I didn't get into, but I got into Rochester Institute of Technology, OCC. It's very expensive applying to schools, so I didn't really want to apply anywhere else but Syracuse. So I was putting all of my money into that one bucket. That was what I wanted, and I didn't really care if I got into any other schools. And I'll never forget the day that I got accepted, how excited I was. There's days in your life that you think about that you can replay in your head perfectly. You know exactly what happened, and that day was one of those days. So that was really exciting, and my dreams were coming true. So I got accepted into my dream school, and my major was photography, and I was super excited to start there in the fall. That summer, I remember just before I started school, I started to get major anxiety, and that's when my anxiety disorder really escalated, but I really won't get into that. I just wanted to throw that in there. So I started school in the fall of 2009 at SU in my little photography major, and I really did enjoy what I was doing in class at the time. I was in the School of Visual and Performing Arts in the transmedia department, which is photography, video, and different mediums of art. Transmedia. They put us in these huge colloquium classes every semester, where it was everyone in the department had to be in that class. And those classes I always hated because we were exposed to so much art. I mean, it was art. It is what the art world considers art, but I hated it. I was I wanted to get out. I was why am I looking at all of these weird art videos and photography that just isn't what I find beautiful? I didn't like it at all. I kind of started to feel disconnected from photography right from the get-go. I still tried to just do my thing and do what I wanted to do, but at the same time I knew that the road that my major was going down was just weird, and I wasn't that into it anymore. So I was a little off put by my classes, and my freshman year I actually commuted back and forth from home up to school. Again, I only live 15 minutes away from the university, so if you live within, I commuted back and forth from SU home every single day for class, and it almost started to feel just like it was me going to work. I felt like it was just a job and not school. I wasn't really able to make any friends that first year. I did, again, like I said, I didn't really love my major, and all the people that were in my major were really into all of the art and everything, and I was just kind of I don't see myself being friends with these people because they were just different. I just didn't really mesh together well with the art kids. I never seemed like an art kid. I had a car my freshman year that I was commuting back and forth with in April of my freshman year, so this was April of 2010. I got into a car accident and I totaled that car, so I was without a car. Well, I didn't have my own car anymore, so I was using my mom's to commute back and forth for the rest of the month of school. I was really upset about it and everything, obviously. My dad had bought me the car, so I big financial burden on him, and I felt terrible. And again, since I didn't really have a car, I made up my mind that I was going to live up on campus at SU for my sophomore year. in the dorms. So I told my parents this, that I wanted to move up there and then I wanted to live in the dorms, and they said that I could, and we figured out how much it was going to cost, and we figured all that out and got it all set up. So then over the summer I was really trying to find a job. Now mind you, I had never worked, like all through high school I didn't have a job, and I can't really tell you why I didn't. I really applied myself. I wanted a job. I tried to work at several places around my town, and I just like didn't get hired. I don't know what the issue was. But anyway, the summer going into my sophomore year in college, I applied for a job as a patient safety representative, and I got that job. So I started working in the hospital in July of 2010. And I loved it. Like, having a job maybe like broke my shell a little bit. I started becoming a little more social. I had always been very shy and kind of just like kept to myself. I don't mind being alone even to this day, but I definitely, that summer was like the summer that I like started being more myself, I guess. The fall came. I remember right before school started, I got like an email from my roommate. I kind of went into the whole raffle of like the dorm system blindly. Like, I didn't make any friends, like I said, so I didn't have a roommate chosen, so they just randomly assigned me a roommate. Had no idea what this was gonna be like. I got an email from my new roommate. Her name was Jin. She was from South Korea, and she was going to be a sophomore as well. She was transferring from somewhere else, I think possibly in South Korea. So I just was like, I didn't know how that culture was going to mesh with my culture, and it was just a big experience. So I remember when I moved into my dorm my sophomore year, I was in Sadler on the 3rd floor in room 3. So Sadler 303. 3 is my favorite number, if you guys didn't know that. My dorm was a split double, so like I had my own side and Jin had her own side, and there was like closets in between. Like, it was a split double, I guess that's what it's called. You probably know what I'm talking about if you've lived in dorms. It wasn't like a big open room. We kind of had like a wall between us, but we shared the main door, and there was like a walkway between our two sides of the room. So I guess I won't get too much into that, but just know that I had a Korean roommate, and she was very homesick most of the time and just very upset. If you want to hear some of my roommate stories, leave a comment down below. I have a few that I can tell you that are very interesting, and no offense to anyone, it's just what happened to me. So if you want a story time video on that, please leave a comment down below. So me and Jin didn't really hit it off very well because we were just so different from each other. And I wanted to like show her all that Syracuse had to offer, being a native and like loving the city and the town and everything that we have going on here. I like wanted to take her to the fair. She didn't really express interest in that. So we didn't really become friends, and that kind of disappointed me. And so I was on the floor. We had floor meetings and everything where like the whole entire floor had to go and like socialize with each other. And the freshmen were down one wing, and then like the upperclassmen were down my wing. And all of the upperclassmen kind of already had their friend groups because they had been at Syracuse in the dorms for a whole year, and I was just kind of like a sophomore that didn't have any friends still. It was hard to kind of break into that group of people. But I went to all the meetings and I enjoyed meeting everyone. So yeah, overall I like enjoyed living in the dorm. But it was just kind of not all that I had expected it to be right off the bat. And now if you remember, like I said, I totaled my car, so I was living up at the dorms without a car. Sometimes my mom would let me take her car up there, and I had like a parking pass and everything. So I was kind of like stuck up there. I couldn't really leave. Now the semester had started and everything, and I started back up with my major in photography and everything. Was going good. And one day I was just like on my way to class, minding my own business, and this like beautiful tall blonde girl approached me. I had my headphones in, and she was like, "Can you take your headphones out for a second?" And so I take my headphones out, and it was this tall, Southern girl, and she started talking to me. She's like, "Hi, my name is Samantha, and I'm with Alpha Gamma Delta International Fraternity. You look like a lovely young lady. Would you like to hear some more information about our organization?" And I was just like, who is this girl? Why does she want me to be in her group? Now, up at SU, Greek life is huge, and my freshman year, I didn't really like understand it at all. Back in like 2009, when I started school, YouTube wasn't like that prevalent, and you couldn't really go on there and get information about sororities and fraternities. So, and I didn't do like research on that because it was never something that I was interested in. Anyway, so this girl is talking to me, and she's Southern, and she's gorgeous, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? She hands me a pamphlet, and she asks me to come to like an information session later on in the evening. I took the information. I was kind of getting excited because I was like, maybe this would be good for me if I join a group on campus. So I went to class. I came back to my dorm. I remember I called my mom, and I'm like, "Mom, could you see me like in a sorority? What do you think about that?" And she was like, "Yeah, Case, I could totally see you doing something like that. And it would be really good for you to like meet people and all that good stuff." And I was like, "Really?" And she's like, "Yeah, you should do it. Go and, find out more about what she was talking about." So I ended up going to this meeting. It was at the Sheraton Hotel. I will never forget it. It just seemed so extravagant. Like there was roses everywhere, and it was very classy, and everyone was like dressed really nice. They gave us like information about it, and then we like set up these little like interviews with them if we wanted to like continue joining. And I did all of the stuff that I needed to do to get like started and everything. And if you're confused about what was going on, I was basically rushing or being recruited by Alpha Gamma Delta and going through with like the recruitment process. Now I guess I'll back up a little bit. Alpha Gamma Delta is the sorority that I ended up joining, which is a sorority that was founded at Syracuse University in 1904. And I was a part of the recolonization class. The sorority itself had like dismembered and dismantled back in the early mid-90s, I want to say. It might have been like the mid to late 90s. And they were coming back to SU to reopen and recolonize the sorority itself. So I got to be a part of this recolonization class. And I was so excited. I didn't really like understand formal recruitment at the time that I was going through this informal recolonization recruitment, but I was like fascinated by it all, and I was so excited that they offered me a bid. I remember going to like our meeting, and they gave us a bunch of like swag. They gave us like bags and pens and koozies and t-shirts. They gave us like a whole bunch of like merchandise, and I was like, wow. They're like, "We want you to wear your letters around campus." This was even before initiation. They let us wear our letters. I guess it was just like a special thing that we got to do because we were part of such a special moment in Syracuse history by bringing this sorority back to campus. So long story short, I got the bid for my sorority, and I started the new member process. And through that period of time, I remember one day on the elevator, I was going to class, and another girl had the same exact bag as me, and I didn't really like recognize her from, the sorority, but I recognized her from my floor. And it ended up being my best friend Colleen. We were standing on the elevators together, and we both had our bags, and we both kind of gave each other like a little bit of like a look, and we were like, "Oh, hi, how's it going?" And it's so weird, like how awkward I felt in that moment. I won't forget that moment in time where I'm like realized that we were doing the sorority together, because there was a lot of us that joined at one time. So if you want like another video about like sorority recruitment and my experience with my sorority, leave a comment down below, because I feel like it's just such a big part of my college experience, so it's hard to condense it into like the whole picture. So yeah, there was this girl in the elevator, and she had the same bag as me, and we kind of gave each other a little bit of a look and just like said hi and like whatever, and then we got off the elevator and went our separate ways. And then later on that day when I got back from class, she was actually sitting out in the lounge with her roommate. They were like doing homework together, and I just like decided to like, we both said hey when like I got off the elevator, and she like asked me if I wanted to go to our chapter meeting with her later that evening, and I was like, absolutely, and we started having like a little bit of a conversation. Long story short, that was like the beginning of my and my best friend Colleen's friendship. I guess I should just go ahead and tell you this right now, because she's part of my whole rest of my story. Colleen is my best friend of all time, still to this day. She and I are like this, and I just love her so much, and she lives in New York City now, and we've had a long distance friendship for 3 years out of the 6 years that we've been friends. But she's my best friend, and she's a huge part of what made Syracuse so special to me. So that was the beginning of our friendship, and I just wanted to point that out because it was a pivotal moment in my life, because there it was, my very first friend at Syracuse was Colleen. So I also started going to all the Syracuse basketball games. I had bought in season tickets, and I was like enthralled about it. And we used to go in groups, like my sorority, we would all go together, and I just loved it. I loved being around people that wanted to be my friend and were like genuinely interested in me and like the same hobbies as me, like going to the game. And I just made friends super fast after that point. We just all became very close because we were all going through the recruitment, well, not the recruitment process, but the new member process together and rebuilding a sorority from the ground up. At that point, our sorority house was being like used as like a girls only dorm, which is so weird. The Alpha Gamma Delta house is called Butterfield, and it is on Comstock Ave at Syracuse University. And it's like one of the most historic houses on campus. We were in the process, like the sorority, the fraternity, the international part of Alpha Gamma Delta was buying the house back from the university, and they were remodeling it all for us to live in. Our chapter meetings used to be in the Hall of Languages, which is another historic building at Syracuse University. We used to meet on the 5th floor in room 100, I think it was, the middle room, the big room. And that's where all of our chapter meetings were, and like everything, every little event that we had was held in that room. Initiation came, we had a feast of roses. It was like our big initiation. We're all wearing our white dresses, and I just remember it was so funny. It was at the On Center, and the food was really good. So I was loving sorority life, the beginnings of it. It was so much fun. And going into Christmas time and like Christmas break, I just remember being really excited. I ended up working a lot over that break, and Syracuse football actually ended up going to a bowl, and they won, and that was really exciting. So that was kind of like the end of 2010, going now into my sophomore spring semester of 2011. I had a car returning back to Syracuse in that spring semester. I got a car over break. I got a new car, and I was happy that I could get back and forth from work, school, home with my car. And I was able to like chauffeur my friends around. A lot of people like gravitated towards me because I had a car, and I used to be able to drive us to chapter. So there was a group of us that like lived in my dorm and the dorm next door to me that we would like drive together to our chapter meetings, and I just bonded with a lot of the girls really quick right off the bat, and it was so much fun. Back into my dorm at Sadler, kind of tiffing with my roommate. So I spent a lot of time in Colleen's room hanging out with her, and that's when we really became really close friends. We just were always hanging out together. We'd go to the dining hall together. We just did everything together, and I was part of an informal recruitment with my sorority, but in the spring semester at Syracuse, that is when formal recruitment takes place. It's in January. I remember this, my whole sorority sang happy birthday to me because we had our practice on my birthday, and I was so bummed that I couldn't just like have a relaxing day. I had to wake up really early and go to sorority recruitment practice, and it wasn't that fun. But we went through our first recruitment, and that for me raised my anxiety. Like I was freaking out about it. So we had our first formal recruitment, and we got our first like actual class in formal recruitment, and those girls were amazing, and I have so many good friends that were a part of that group of women, and one of them being my very, very good friend to this day, Taylor. She was part of that first recruitment class. I adore her to pieces, and she's a big part of my college experience as well. I didn't take a little out of that class. Moving on. So then that semester we started having like mixers and everything with fraternities, and those were all super fun. At this point, this is such a funny story to tell. I was underage, of course. I was only 20 still. I turned 20 in my sophomore year. Spring semester, so I was still underage, but I never drank alcohol in my whole entire life. And that semester was the first time that I tried it. I loved it. So if you want to hear the first time that I got drunk story, please leave a comment down below. It was my sophomore year in college, and I would love to tell it to you all because it's hilarious. So I was having a grand old time my sophomore year. It was really fun. I started going to Syracuse Crunch games, and I was just into my sports and loving going to games. So I had a wonderful spring semester. Photography-wise, like class-wise, I still wasn't really enjoying the major itself. But going into my junior year, I decided to take a little bit more of a path with my degree. The summer was a beautiful summer. Again, I saw Colleen and my friend Taylor from my sorority. We hung out a little bit that summer, and it was just great. In the fall semester of my junior year, I decided to pick up education studies as a minor in the hopes of becoming a teacher potentially after I graduated with my degree in photography. So that was kind of like a foundation that I was laying for myself as I was moving forward and like potentially going to be going to grad school to get my master's in education. So I started taking those classes. I absolutely loved them. And that was kind of like my goal and my mindset going into my senior year. That was what I was like going to do. I was going to continue taking my minor, my education classes as my minor, and continue my photography as my major. So that's what I ended up doing. So here we are in my junior year, beginning of my junior year, moving into my sorority house. Living in a sorority house is something you absolutely have to do if you are in a sorority. I highly recommend it. At least 1 year of your college career. Live in the sorority house because it's such a special bond that you have. Like all the girls living in the house, you just are bonded to them. Like there's just like something else there, and especially because it was like the first time we were all moving into the house, it was just so exciting. There were 33 of us, and Colleen moved into the house as well. I didn't end up getting to room with her because she had promised our very, very good friend Janet that she would room with her. So Janet and Colleen were roommates, and my roommate was my very good friend Rosanna, Ro, one of the sweetest people at my sorority that I ever met. She was a class ahead of me, so she was a senior. My sorority, again, since it was so new, all of our elected officers from that first year were still kind of the officers. But there was a little bit of an issue. I don't really exactly remember what happened, but Rosanna, who was my roommate, by the end of the semester ended up being the president of our sorority. So she had to deal with a lot of like drama and stuff that was happening within the house, in our room a lot. So I like knew everything that was going on as discreetly as she tried to have like those meetings. Sometimes I'd be asleep, and it was just crazy because usually the president has their own room in the house, but since she kind of became president halfway through the semester, it just got a little junky. But she was amazing and sweet and everything, and she actually ended up moving out of the house the second half of her senior year, so I got a new roommate going into the spring. Fall was amazing. I loved living in the house. We at that point didn't have our house cook yet. Everyone had to kind of like buy their own food. They could cook it in the kitchen if they wanted to, or we could be on like a meal plan still with like the university. And there was a brand new dorm. It was a couple years old, right like next door to the sorority house. So me and Colleen and like Taylor didn't live in the house. She lived on South Campus at this point. Or no, she lived in another dorm. So we would just go over there. We had like 2 meals a day. That's when I started like losing weight because I like didn't really have that many opportunities throughout the day to eat. So we would go eat breakfast or lunch and dinner or whatever. So there was that, but living in the house was super fun. And then going into the spring, I got a new roommate, my very good friend Caitlin, and she was a great roommate, and her and I became such good friends as a result of that. So I was really happy to share a room with her, and I got to change a room. I got like a little bit of a bigger room with like a better layout, and it was really, really fun living in the house and everything. The downside to living in a sorority house that's sandwiched between two fraternity houses is that it's loud for no reason, like at 1 p.m. and 2 p.m. and like weird hours of the day, like even early in the morning, like 8, 9 o'clock, there's music blasting next door. That was like kind of a downside to that. And in the fall, my room was in the front of the house, so I didn't really hear too much. And then in the spring, I was on the side of the house, and I could hear everything, and it was just obnoxious when I was trying to sleep, because I still worked nights at that point. I still worked as a PSR all throughout my college career, so just know that I was a working college girl. I was not just like hanging out. Still going to basketball games, real strong. I'm a huge, hands-down basketball fan. If you want to know anything about my fandom, just ask me. I will tell you anything you want to know. I didn't miss a game my sophomore, junior, or senior year, just to throw that out there. Okay, going into my spring semester, my junior year, I was living with my new roommate Caitlin, and we just had a blast. It was so much fun. We had formal recruitment again, the first time in our house, and it was so exciting. We got to like use the house and the staircase, and we had a beautiful entryway, and it was just made us feel so much more official, finally being able to recruit in our own sorority house. So we were super excited about that. We got a great bunch of girls out of that recruitment, and I ended up taking a little from that bunch. Her name is Christina, and she's also from like the Syracuse area, and her and I off the bat were like really close, and I just loved her to pieces. Like, if you're in a sorority, you definitely should take a little, and you don't have to go crazy spending money on them, but if you want to and you're able to, absolutely. It's so much fun to spoil people, especially newbies that are coming into your house, and you just want them to feel welcome and like a part of the whole thing. I decided that I was going to run for sisterhood coordinator of my sorority, and my best friend Colleen also ran for a position, and she shot for a president. And some of my other friends also ran for positions, and we were all really excited. It was kind of going to be like a fresh start for our sorority, and we were just like pumped. I ended up getting the position as sisterhood coordinator, and I was enthralled. Basically, as sisterhood coordinator, I got to just kind of develop activities and events that we all could do as a sisterhood that would bond us together. And I got like a big like budget to work with. I started to plan events in the spring semester. I was so excited to have that position and be a part of the council of our sorority, and I had like more of a say, and it was just fun getting to like update people, and I don't know, it made me feel more important, and it gave me something to challenge myself, and I found it really rewarding, and sisterhood events were just something that were fun that we could do. So it was like social events were things people look forward to, and then the sisterhood events as well. So like social events like mixers and date nights and formal and semi-formal and all of that, which were so much fun. I have so many memories from all of our mixers, parties, date nights, formals, semi-formals. If you guys want to know more about like my social aspect of college and like all of that kind of stuff, leave a comment down below, and I'd be more than happy to explain anything to you or make another video about it. There's so much that happened to me in college that it's hard to just put it in this one video, but I'm trying my best to kind of like summarize it and sum it up. So it was just a fun time living in the house, and that semester we actually had our cook, Carol. She was amazing, and we had our house mom. We had a different house mom in the spring. Anyway, Carol was an amazing cook. I got delicious food fed to me all throughout that semester, and it was so good, and we just felt complete at that point. By the end of my junior year, it felt like having the house and the sorority and all that, it felt like an amazing thing. So my junior year summer came and went, and now it was the fall of my senior year, going into my senior year. I was moving into an apartment with my very best friends. So it was me, my very, very best friend Janet, my friend Amanda, and my friend Kristen. Kristen and Colleen split the year up because Colleen was the president of our sorority, so she was obligated to live in the house again for another semester. So she got to sublet Kristen her room for the fall, and then in the springtime Colleen moved into the apartment with us. In the fall it was Janet, me, Amanda, Kristen, and Laura, who was in our sorority as well. It was really fun having a space like that where we could have parties of our own, because as you may or may not know, I don't know how it is at other schools really, but at SU and especially Alpha Gamma Delta, we couldn't have parties in our house. Like normally sororities don't have, like, you know, social parties at the house. You go to a fraternity house or bars or whatever. So we had a nice apartment that we could host events at, and that's actually when I started to like relaunch my YouTube channel. It was in that apartment. I have a couple videos of me and Colleen did a few friendship videos in our apartment, so I'm gonna definitely leave those linked in the cards for you guys to go check out. It's just so funny to me that I like started my YouTube back up at that moment in my life. We were really close to campus. We were living on Euclid Avenue, which is like one of the main streets up at SU where there's a lot of off-campus living, and it's like all students pretty much living on that street. Really close walking distance to campus and the house and like everything. I miss like walking around campus. It just was so much fun. I was happy in the apartment. I had like a nice, pretty good sized room there, and I got to decorate it however I wanted, and it was just a cute little room. I still held the position of sisterhood coordinator, and I got to plan our sisterhood retreat, and we went up to, I forgot where it was, but it was like kind of like in the hills and the mountains, and it was like a ropes course. And at that point, and our sorority was kind of like in a bad place, kind of like hating on each other and just like a lot of drama within our sorority. So I took it upon myself to like separate all of the cliques that were in my sorority and made everyone kind of mingle with each other. When it was so much fun, everyone took pictures, and it was just a great bonding experience, and I'm so happy that I was responsible for creating an event as successful as that. It was the highlight of my position as sisterhood coordinator. Again, I was still doing my photography. The senior year photography program, it comes a little more like you're working on your senior project the whole entire year. So that was fun that they kind of like let us do what we wanted to do, and they helped us along the way. It was just like a lot of work. It was a lot of work. It was not an easy senior year by any means, and I was still really focused on my minor in education. So I was juggling a lot going into the senior year academically, but I continued working again as a PSR. It was great, and I bought, you know, my season tickets for football and basketball again, and I was really excited about that. So in the fall semester is when I met Brendan. So Brendan's my current boyfriend of almost 4 years now, and that was a big part of the fall semester and really exciting, and I'm happy to have had him in my life this long. It's so weird that he's a part of my college experience story, but he totally is. I met Brendan and we started dating, and I was just a happy little camper. I was so excited to have someone like him in my life, and if I had a boyfriend before that point in college, it wouldn't have been as an awesome of an experience as it was. So I'm happy to have met him when I did and still have him in my life. So there was Brendan, and I've of course made a lot of friends along the way up until that point. So then in the spring semester, Kristen actually graduated early, so she left, she went home, and Colleen got to move into the house finally. We had lived together for 2 years up into that point of college, like together under the same roof, and that one semester we were apart, and it made me upset. I felt disconnected from her just a little bit, not really, because we still like were attached at the hip, But having her move into the apartment with us was like, I was just so happy to finally be close to her. Now we're in the spring semester of my senior year with my best friends, and it was an awesome semester. We went through another formal recruitment and got a bunch of amazing girls once again. We were having amazing parties at the apartment. We started off the year with my USA themed 22nd birthday party, and it was honestly a mess. And we had so many other little parties throughout the year, and it was just a good party apartment. Everyone came over there to like pregame and party, and it was just fun going to the bars with my friends too. I failed to mention that. Turned 21 in the spring of my junior year, and the bars up at SU are amazing. So it was a big like turning point in my life, being able to go to the bars with my friends, and we always had a good time. I was working really hard on my photography. It was really expensive. I had to buy a lot of paper and ink and frames for my final exhibition, and Brendan really helped me get through that time. He was so helpful, and he really pushed me in ways that I didn't really know that I was like capable of achieving. And that was about the time where like I was still continuing all my education studies classes and everything, and my photography classes. I never wanted to switch my major, but at this point, and kind of like towards the end of the fall semester my senior year, Brendan and I kind of talked about our futures and everything, and like what I was going to do after college. And I started thinking about nursing school. Like I had this little like bud in my head, like, you know what? I think I want to be a nurse. I think I want to go to nursing school after SU is all said and done. And Brendan really pushed me and thought that that was a great idea, and he really had a big hand in encouraging me to chase after that vision. That's basically what I started to do in the fall of my senior year. I went to the College of Nursing that I'm in now, and I talked to the recruitment people there and tried to figure out what I could do while I was still at SU to kind of get ahead. The only thing I was really able to get done was in the spring of my senior year. I took a psychology class, which prepared me and was like a prerequisite for nursing school. So I got that done while I was at SU, and I did pretty good when all was said and done, and the semester went by so fast. And again, that's when I started making my YouTube videos again, so I definitely will have those linked in the cards. And that was kind of when I was feeling my most inspired self. I had my senior exhibition. All my friends came and supported me, which meant the world to me, and of course my family was there for the whole thing as well. And that was the point in like my major where I kind of finally felt like me and my peers, my photography peers, kind of like connected finally for me. And they were all so nice. They were nice people. Like I had told you from the beginning, I didn't really mesh with the people like in my major in photography, and that was kind of one of the reasons that I kind of resisted it the whole time I was there, and kind of I didn't enjoy it. Don't go to college and like I should have. The only thing I would have done differently if I could do SU all over again was just switch my major. As simple as that. I could have went for biology or something that would help me towards my nursing degree in the future, but I guess I didn't really grasp the fact that I wouldn't be doing photography after I graduated, and the ideas that I had in my head just didn't come to fruition. But you know what? That's life, and sometimes you don't end up doing what you went to college for. It's just like the reality of the situation. So anyway, I ended up doing absolutely fantastic and absolutely fine in photography. I still like do have like a passion for it deep down inside. Like I love taking photos, and if you guys know me, I'm like the picture girl. I take pictures everywhere we go. I'm very into my Instagram. I had planned on and intended on continuing taking photographs after I graduated as like a kind of side job. The men's basketball team got into the Final Four that year in Atlanta. So yeah, they got into the Final Four, and I bought like tickets to go. I couldn't afford the trip, like the plane ride itself, but a bunch of my friends went, and we ended up not making it into the championship game, which was really disappointing. But it was such a fun senior year Colleen and I made so many memories. Me and my roommates made tons of memories, and we just had so much fun. Drinking wine in our apartment, and we made dinner some nights. It was just like a very like good transition into like adulthood. So then when graduation finally came, it's like one of my fondest memories of SU is SU graduation. It was so lovely. We had like a senior celebration, and I'll never forget that night. We got a ton of free stuff. And like, of course, every year SU has like a block party. SU is like a humongous party school. The year after I graduated, we were actually voted #1 party school in the nation, according to like BuzzFeed or something like that. Every year I went to like block party, and block party is like the all day drinking. It's like towards the end of the school year, and if you're of age you get free beer, so that's really awesome. And then at the end it's called Mayfest. They have a huge concert. My freshman year it was Drake. My sophomore year it was Kid Cudi. My junior year it was, actually I didn't go to the concert my junior year. It was like Cascade or something like that. I don't remember. I wasn't into it. And then my senior year it was Kesha. So it was so cool. SU had a ton of like really awesome concerts while I was a student. Those were like the Mayfest ones. I also got to see at the Dome, the Dalai Lama came to our school my senior year, and there was a bunch of musical performances that came along with him, and I don't remember all of them, but I do remember Andy Grammer was one of them. To see the Dalai Lama speak, and then we stayed for the concert afterwards. So there was that, and also Zac Brown Band came to the Dome, and I went to see that. And who else? Was that at the Dome? I think so. A lot of cool events and concerts and opportunities came with going to SU as a student. I can't even like remember everything. I did so many cool things in college that I wish I could just fit them all in this video, but again, for the sake of time, I can't like tell you in detail all of my memories, but I have such amazing memories from SU. And again, like I said, graduation was a big part of my SU memories. Finally getting to walk across the stage and hear my name in the Dome and become an alumni of the university has just been such an honor, and like something that I really honestly is like a highlight of my life. Getting my bachelor's in fine arts from Syracuse University, it's such an honor to have been like an alumni, to have graduated from SU, and so many great people graduated from SU, and I just am so happy to be like one of them. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I also like forgot to mention, like as I told you guys early on in this video, how big of an SU fan I was. I should do like a video called like SU memories. My freshman and sophomore year, I kind of like stalked them, or whenever I would see them I would tweet them and then they would tweet me back. Like I loved the SU basketball players. I still do to this day. But anyway, some of my SU basketball highlights were I got to drive Biketa. So Biketa was in my car that I currently have. You guys probably don't even know who these people are, but they meant a lot to me. And then I used to see Chris Joseph and Scoop Jardine on the buses all the time my freshman year. I got to chest pump CJ Fair at a Kappa kickball game. Just so many little memories with my SU basketball players. They were my idols. I still like love them. I can't even tell you how excited I used to get when I had little moments with them. So sad. The day after graduation was the day that we had to be out of our apartment, so it was so sad. It was like the last time we all lived together in Syracuse, and I just like can't even believe that time has come and gone, and here I am 3 years later, and time has flown by so fast, and I'm in a totally different place than I was when I graduated SU. I hope that all of this made sense, and I hope that I told my story in a concise manner that makes sense and is entertaining at the same time. I hope this video isn't too long, but I do apologize if it's like a half an hour to 40 minutes long. I love my school, I loved my experience, and there's so much more that I could tell you guys, but that is my college experience in a nutshell. If If you guys have any other specific questions or want me to make any more videos related to my experience at SU, please leave a comment down below and let me know what you guys want from me. I am also currently in nursing school, so I plan on making like a separate video about like what I've been doing since I graduated SU and like nursing school experiences. If you guys watch my vlog and have been following my channel, I've been vlogging for about 3 years now and making videos for 3 years, so you've kind of know, if you've been around that long, like what's been going on in my life since. If you don't know, go ahead and like look through all my vlogs and you'll kind of get the gist of where I am in my life right now. So yes, I'm in nursing school and I would love to do a video talking about my first year in nursing school as I approach my second and final year in nursing school. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment down below telling me where you went to college or what is your dream school. I would love to know. And I hope that some of you out there go to SU, go Orange, and please subscribe to my channel for more videos like this from me, and I will see you all at another time. Bye everyone! Go Orange! Woo woo!
Was it that?
There are pearls everywhere. Pearls everywhere? Get tongue-tied. Don't wobble the bed too much. What is that? What is that?
I found a hand on the floor.
What is that? Let me see it.
It looks like just some like little thing.
It's probably like one of my like Christmas ornaments or something. No, this is Otto's hand for my piggy bank. I used to have an Otto piggy bank. This is definitely Otto's hand. Do you see the orange?
Yeah, I knew it was.
What happened to my Otto piggy bank from McDonald's? Alright, best part, taste testing. Let's do it.